fan, Tulane probably has the respect of the general football fan. And when you think about 2 years ago, they came into Manhattan, surprised K-State, and never looked back, just took off winning with Willie Fritz as the coach. They went on to a 12-win season, finished the season as the number 9 team in the country, Danny, after being the AAC champion. They followed that last year with an 8-0 record in conference play under Willie Fritz. And so they've won 23 games over the 22 and 23 season. Tulane's never come close to winning 23 games. But that's kind of in the Michigan, Alabama, Georgia level over the last 2 seasons. So I think there's a respect for Tulane now. There's a new coach, and people may say, oh, well, Willie Fritz is at Houston. This is all over. Well, John Summerall, the last 2 years at Troy, has won 23 games also. So Troy and Tulane are right behind Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan as the most number of wins in the last 2 seasons. And he went against K-State when he's at Troy. Some of the familiarity that I talked about with Illinois, I think that will be helpful. This game is outdoors. Usually when you go to Louisiana, Danny, you know about Bourbon Street and all the partying and Super Bowl history and everything else, and then you assume you're going to slide over to that famous stadium, the Superdome. Well, that's not where Tulane plays anymore. K-State played Tulane in 1988 in the Superdome and unbelievably lost in the last seconds in one of the funny stories of all time. Not so much, but now it can be funny, Danny. K-State had not won a game in 87 under Stan Parrish. And in 1988, here they were beating Tulane on the road, got the lead with about a minute and a half left in the game. And the coaches got so excited in the booth that they wanted to go down the field and be down there when the game ended. But the defensive staff left the booth, Danny. So the guys on the sideline who were coaching on the defense didn't have anybody up top looking at things. Think about that, Danny. It happened.
Right.
And K-State, while those coaches were in the elevators trying to get down to the field, gave up a touchdown drive, and Tulane came back and won. So Tulane has been a thorn in K-State's side. They won both matches that have ever been competed with against these two teams, because we talked about that 2022 game where Tulane won. It's going to be outdoors in our stadium. The humidity will be unbelievable, Danny. I've never felt the draining feeling of a football game, even in the 100-degree weather in the state of Kansas, as I did when I played against LSU. I played down there, and the humidity just takes it out of you. It's going to be a big challenge for K-State. Weather will be one of the issues. Respect will not be. K-State knows that Tulane is really good, playing it like they did, winning the Cotton Bowl 2 years ago, being as good as they are, and knowing about them. This will be an interesting game. Don't know what Tulane is going to be this year. They won easily over Southeastern Louisiana. In K-State, we're going to see, because the Wildcats have 6 road games, a lot of interesting venues that they're going to have to go play and win at, and it starts right here. This will define how good these two teams are in the early season. If K-State can go on the road and get a win, it's a little bit like I talked about Kansas. They deserve a lot of respect. I think they'll get it. But how good is Tulane, Danny? Are they going to be another 10-win team? Have they established a new program level? This is a big feather in their cap if they can beat a team like K-State, ranked in the top 25. This is going to be a heck of a battle, learning about Tulane and K-State. What will K-State's offense do? And Tulane has a freshman quarterback who didn't get stressed in the first game. What will he do under the stress of a really good K-State defense?
And, of course, we'll have pro football before that happens. That'll be the NFL opener as the Chiefs take on the Ravens. Obviously, the Chiefs dropped their opener last year. I think this is a really interesting game from the standpoint the Ravens obviously lost the AFC Championship game. They made vital mistakes in that game. They undoubtedly feel like they should have won the game themselves. That's their viewpoint. And the Chiefs, I think, feel like they're better this year, and I think they, especially after last year, want to make an opening statement on Thursday night. This should be a heck of a game.
As a football fan, this is a heck of a game. The rating should be off the charts. Why not? Replicating the AFC Championship game last year. Remember, the Ravens were the favorite. Lamar Jackson was the NFL's Player of the Year. And the Chiefs were kind of struggling along and hoping they could go on the road for the Chiefs level. I mean, obviously they weren't struggling, but
right.
Being a Super Bowl level, they were going to have to go in and get some work done at Baltimore, and they did. But these two teams have been good for long enough now, and Lamar Jackson's won 2 NFL Player of the Years. So everybody in the country just knows all about this. John Harbaugh, Andy Reid, they get as much respect as any two coaches left. Bill Belichick's not around anymore. So this game has just, I cannot wait as a general football fan. But when you break it down from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective, Danny, it is such a long season. We know the Chiefs are championship level mindset when they get to December and January with Andy Reid. We know that they're probably going to cover the AFC West unless the Chargers really surprise us in John Harbaugh's first year. It just gives the Chiefs some breathing room that you don't normally have. Getting off to a good start has always been a part of being the best team in the NFL. And the Chiefs play 2 games in the first 2 weeks at home against the teams that have the best chance of unseating them. There are no 2 better teams in my mind if you think about who could possibly beat the Chiefs than their first 2 opponents, the Ravens and the Bengals. So in my mind, I keep coming back, Danny, to a mentality that if they just win one of the first 2, they're going to be fine. I mean, look how hard a schedule that is. And they're not going to bog themselves down. They got upset by Detroit last year on Thursday night. Did that affect them? No. They moved on. So I just don't feel the sense of urgency or the need to say, oh, this is when the Chiefs really need to prove themselves that they're better than the Ravens in 2024. I don't know if that proves that at all, because I think the Ravens are different with Lamar Jackson in the playoffs and the regular season. And so you just, even if the Ravens go out and win by 10, I don't think, oh, the Chiefs are in big trouble. You go, hey, we'll see you back at the end of the year. I kind of look at this as a 2-game situation. It's the weirdest mindset, Danny. I do not like it. I've always loved the integrity of the NFL. You got to get off to a good start and get rolling. Winning head-to-head games and tiebreakers and all this stuff matters so much at the end of the year. But I have so much confidence in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce that they know how to get the rhythm of the season, and they'll be hitting on all cylinders at the end of the year. Super fun game. I don't think there's a ton to lose for the Chiefs unless they lose to the Bengals the next week. 0-2 does matter, okay? That would be shocking, but so much fun. This game does not mean anything for what the end of the year is going to be like. But if you're a Ravens fan, you know you do not want to be 0-1 and start continuing that domination of why do the Chiefs always find a way to outpace the Ravens when it matters. Great game, but I wish there was more at stake, Danny. I really do. I wish I was saying, man, this is the biggest game of the year. But I don't know if you see it this way. I just think beat one of the Bengals or the Ravens, and the Chiefs will be fine.
Just a quick moment about the potential differences in this game. Derrick Henry is on the Ravens now. I expect that he still has something left in the tank. Maybe not for more than 1 year, but I think for 1 year for the Ravens. How does that change their dynamic?
It'll be very interesting to see how they play this out. Derrick Henry's reputation and size when he walks on the field outpaces his effect on the game tremendously, Danny. First of all, we know running backs aren't as important in winning games in the NFL as they used to be and as our quarterbacks. But Derrick's not been able to consistently get 4 yards on every play. He'll get 0 and then get 15 once in a while. But you know what? 15 doesn't do you any good, Danny. It's a worthless play in the NFL. A 15-yard run looks spectacular when he stiff-arms somebody, but it could be 2nd and 3 when he makes that run. I mean, it's just unreliable. Does that make sense? Derrick Henry's reputation. If you walk up to next to him on the sideline, Danny, if you got a chance to, in pregame, like sometimes I'm down on the field at Arrowhead, when that dude walks by, your respect level goes up. The bells start ringing. He's like 6'5", a giant that has speed. It is intimidating to say, literally, I'm standing there going, how are these guys going to tackle him? That's the impression he gives to the NFL players. But the fact is, Danny, go watch the games. He often needs to get going, and he doesn't get his legs churning fast enough. And usually you catch him at the line of scrimmage, and he has so many 0-yard runs and 1-yard runs. I'm interested to see, can the Ravens lean on the running game? Bill Belichick is a guy that I think when he's not coaching, Danny, and is analyzing other things, is brilliant at communicating. I saw him the other day, and he said it very easily. If the Ravens want to beat the Chiefs, run the ball. Can he do it? Can they run the ball and turn around and hand it to him like they haven't had the ability to do against the Chiefs because, first of all, offensive coordinators, you and I talk about this all the time, offensive coordinators refuse to run the football, okay? They just refuse. Secondly, Lamar Jackson doesn't want to get a hit, so he doesn't run that much. And the Ravens have had so many injuries at the running back room, it's unfair to even evaluate their running ability of the offensive line, right? I mean, they just get so many guys hurt early in the year. It's been a theme of the last few years. If Derrick Henry is healthy and they have him in the backfield, will he be effective enough that maybe the offensive coordinator will lean that way? But I've been saying this to you for 5 years, Danny, before the Chiefs had a number of these Super Bowls. How do you want to beat the Chiefs and Andy Reid? Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Get the clock running, man. Run the ball. A 15-yard pass play is not nearly as good as 3 5-yard runs.
Right.
Because you burn the clock. And that's the way you have to attack the Chiefs. And the exotic blitzes don't matter as much if you can run the ball. Bill Belichick, in like 4 seconds, said, what the Ravens need to do to beat the Chiefs is run the football. I go, right on. I agree with that guy. So that's the question. Will Derrick Henry allow the offensive coordinator to go, hey, we got a different kind of weapon here. Let's give him the ball. Let's pound it a little bit. But I think he is, gosh, it's sad to say because I like the guy. He's overrated. His effect on the games just are not as great as everyone thinks they are.
And finally, maybe one thing that would be troubling for the Chiefs after this game if you saw it.
Well, I think it's going to be the cornerback position, L'Jarius Sneed not being over there. I'm not sure that we've got any hint in preseason. I know preseason doesn't matter. Heck, the Chiefs made it matter less than ever because as soon as preseason ended, everybody who was on the bubble, they just said, all of you are on the bubble, bye-bye, and brought new guys in, right? I mean, it was unbelievable. So disrespectful to the process of preseason. Let's just go get some other players. So Chiefs fill out their roster. But I do think Spagnuolo can do a great job. There's finding ways to hide his weaknesses and attack opponents. I believe in that. I think that the Chiefs have a lot of depth, a lot of cornerbacks who are good enough to be in the NFL, to play if you're a third or fourth cornerback. I get all that. But L'Jarius Sneed was a superstar, and he was dominant, and he was a blitzer. And I think the Chiefs took a giant step backwards at first hint. No one looks like they're taken to this cornerback position anywhere near the level of Sneed. And if they can stay away from McDuffie and not have to throw on that side and can pick on one side of the field, Danny, I think that's something we haven't seen with the Chiefs during these last 2 Super Bowl wins. So I think that would be troubling if it's on 3rd and 6 and they throw against one cornerback all the time and have success converting 3rd down by throwing it against him. That's hard to hide that weakness.
Right.
It's hard to protect a cornerback in the NFL on 3rd down.
Stan, it should be fun. We should have a fun extended weekend of football from Thursday to Friday to Saturday. It's going to be great. And
okay, Danny.
Glad to have you break it down, and we'll be on Sports Radio 810 on Saturday. And thanks again for joining me today.
Thanks to all the listeners for listening. We really appreciate it. We would talk like this no matter what. The fact that you guys listen is awesome.
And coming up, we're talking baseball and a little bit more right here on Monday Musings. Danny and Friends Sports Wrap. It's presented by ASFCA.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's always great to get an update from Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. 8 locations all around Kansas City, including the newest one in Raytown.
We are very excited to join the Raytown community. We just took over for Dr. David Frey, who retired and has then shared all of his patients with us to take great care of.
They do it all year round, and that means in the fall as well, when people get back to raking leaves and participating in fall sports, all those kinds of things, right?
Back to school means back for fun. Full backpack, we can help as your chiropractor. If you're starting fall sports, we want to make sure you have that physical, and we want to make sure you're in great shape. And if injuries happen, we've got your back.
And you've got it all around Kansas City at 8 different locations for Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Visit asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny.
We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great.